What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Married at First Sight Australia, Season 9, Episode 12. I hope I called the last episode Episode 11 because I wrote Episode 9 in my notes, but the last one was Episode 11. This is Episode 12. So this is the big dinner party episode. Um, wow. The show is so good. Married at First Sight Australia is so good. Okay, so everybody arrives together, coupled up, except for Holly and Andrew. Andrew makes an appearance first, and as soon as he appears, of course, everybody's wondering why he's not with Holly, why they didn't come in together. And so he gives his side of the story. I still don't really understand because it's been a while since I watched the previous episodes, and so I don't really remember exactly what Holly and Andrew's issues were, other than what Andrew had said to Holly about their intimate moment when he said that he got more from a one night stand than he did get from Holly. That's the only thing I can think of. And of course, I'm not going to go back and try to figure it all out. I have no idea. Other than that, I don't understand exactly what is going on between Holly and Andrew. So Andrew automatically, I don't understand what it is about Andrew, like why everybody was so eager to flock around him and to comfort him and to be on his side and to try to soothe him. And everybody was just like, oh, Andrew, oh, you poor Andrew, she's putting you through so much. Oh, poor Andrew. I was like, what? Do y'all not remember what he said to her about how he got more from a one night stand than he did from her? Do y'all not remember that comment? Oh my goodness. And I just don't understand because to me, Anthony is a lot more charming, a lot more approachable and likable than Andrew is. But when when Anthony came to the last dinner party, they were ready to behead him. And obviously, they were already influenced by Celine. So they were out for blood when Anthony arrived. And so I'm assuming this is the same thing. But the thing is that they've never witnessed Celine being mean to Anthony. They've actually witnessed Andrew being mean to Holly by the comment that he had made. So, not, well, they didn't witness him making that comment, but they know that he had said it because when Holly said that this is what he said to me, they were there. They heard that, and he didn't deny it. So they know that he said it. But I don't know. Unless I'm probably missing something. I just don't understand why everybody was so sympathetic to Andrew, other than maybe he was the first one to arrive before Holly. And so whoever arrives first, when a couple doesn't arrive together, is just going to be the one that they're going to side with before they even hear the other side of the story. Side note, DeMonica took Anthony to the side and she apologized to him for how she attacked him at the last dinner party when she thought that, he was doing horrible things to Celine. So I was really happy to see that DeMonica, was on her grown woman game and she took the time to apologize to Anthony. I only wish that Tamara had done the same because she was also on that same warpath with DeMonica to annihilate Anthony. So, moving on. So, like I said, Andrew shows up alone. He gives his side of the story. They're all babying him. And Holly arrives, she makes this grand entrance. She shows up, like she's just the most happiest woman in the world because, she's not arriving with Andrew. And the women and the men, I guess, as well, they're all looking at her kind of like, suspiciously, incredulously, kind of like, they've already made up their mind that there's something wrong with her. So She tries to explain her side of the story to the women, and they're just not having it. They're just like, you don't understand what Andrew's been through and what he's told us. And, he feels so bad about what's going on between y'all. And, Holly is trying to explain to them why they arrived separately, the problems that they're having, how she's feeling, and they're just kind of like not really buying into it. So when they all sit down for dinner, she takes her chair because she was originally seated next to her husband, Andrew. But she takes her chair and she moves it clear across to the opposite end of the table. She doesn't want to sit anywhere near this man. And he's just like, oh, well. So during the dinner service, it was DeMonica and Tamara. They uh, come up to Holly and they want to figure out what's wrong. And so Holly's explaining to them, how he berates her, belittles her, talks down to her, is condescending, he's insulting, he's like a gaslighter. And they're listening. And then Olivia is overhearing this, and then she decides to interrupt. And I forgot exactly what she said, but she was basically like, she didn't agree with what Holly was saying, and she was basically trying to discount what Holly was saying. And I'm just like, Olivia, when couples fight, and you're a friend of the couple, the worst thing you can do as a friend, regardless of, you know, in this situation, it's not like they knew each other before coming into this. And so neither one holds any loyalty to either partner. So the crowd, the rest of the couples, while they are listening to Andrew and while they're listening to Holly, they shouldn't take sides because you don't know. The only thing that you should do to both is just support both the best way that you can. But you shouldn't take sides. You shouldn't feel like, oh, I think he's lying, but she's telling the truth, or vice versa. Because you don't know. You just don't know what goes on behind closed doors, what was really said, what was really done. You just don't know. So Olivia was, very obviously showing Holly that she didn't believe Holly, that she was more inclined to believe Andrew. And I was like, Olivia, just stay out of it. If you can't be neutral, if you can't be supportive of both, then just stay out of it. Let's take a break from Holly and Andrew. So let's get into Tamara and Brent. So when the episode started, Tamara and Brent were in their apartment before the dinner party, and they were in a very, very heated argument over the volume of the TV, which we all know is not about the volume of the TV. So from what I could gather, when the episode started, they were arguing because evidently Tamara had told Brent to turn down the volume, and he got really upset about that for some reason, and they were just in a full blown fight. It was bad. They were shouting at each other. They were using profanity on each other. One was, I think it was, Tamara was accusing Brent of using profanity with her. He was denying that he ever used profanity with her. It was a really nasty argument. So at the dinner party, when they're sitting at the dinner table, there's who noticed it? It was Samantha. Sam noticed that there was some tension between Tamara and Brent. And so Sam was asking them, how are things going? Is everything okay? And they just unleashed it all. They were like, basically they were telling them, according to Brent, he was watching television. Tamara was about to go to bed, so she asked him to put the volume down. And I gathered that he put the volume down, but it wasn't low enough for her. And I don't know if she took the remote and put it down even more, because Brett says that the volume was so low he couldn't even hear what was going on the television set. And so then they start talking about how they were talking to each other. Tamara was saying, he has this very aggressive way of talking. And as Brent was explaining himself to Sam, he was using a lot of hand gestures. And Tamara goes, you see how he's talking? Even with you, he's talking aggressive. And Brent was like, this is just how I talk. I'm not talking aggressive. And so the whole point is, the bottom line is, I feel like Brent feels like he has to draw the line as far as who's going to be the dominant one in this relationship. Like he doesn't want to be like the one that, how do I say this? He doesn't want to be bossed around by her. She's a go getter. She's a very highly motivated person. She's very successful in her career. She knows how to climb her way to the top. Very educated woman. So I don't know if he's got this fear or this insecurity that he's probably less than and compared to her, and that he doesn't want her to boss him around and tell him what to do. So something as simple as, hey Brett, can you please put the volume down? He's gonna like start flexing his muscles and like, show her what's what, that he's not gonna do what she wants him to do. And I'm thinking that's what it is. And her issue with him is that he's just a little bit too aggressive in the way he communicates with her. And I don't know if he's overly aggressive to show her that he's the boss and he's not going to be bossed around, or if that's just how he talk. I have no idea. But it seems like, from what I could gather, that's what it looked like to me. And I could be 100% wrong, but that's what it looked like to me. That there's this fight for dominance, this fight for power that he's having that she's really unaware of. She doesn't even know that there's this fight going on. She just wants the volume down before she goes to bed. And then he sees it like something completely different. And so it's like him struggling to prove that this woman is not going to overpower him and control him, and be the more dominant one. I guess, I don't know, but that's what it seemed like to me. So yeah, so there's some still very unresolved issues there. Now let's get back to Holly and Andrew. So we see Al talking to Holly alone. They have broken away from the rest of the group, and they were in another section, and they were talking, having a private conversation. I don't know how I felt about that, because it was kind of strange to me that him, and I don't like gender roles, and I don't feel, I don't think that, men should only do this and women should only do that. I'm really not that kind of a person, but it still looked a little off that Al would take Holly to the side and have a conversation with her. But the women wouldn't have done it because they kind of didn't see it for Holly. They kind of were like, they felt like Holly was at fault somehow with her relationship with Andrew. So I don't know why Al felt very sympathetic with Holly, but he did. And so he was having a conversation with her. We couldn't hear what was said. And then all of a sudden, Andrew gets up and he goes over to try to talk to Holly. Now, Andrew's reasoning for going to talk to Holly was that he had been in her situation the week prior, where he walked into the lion's den, where his partner had already polluted the waters. And when he walked in, everybody was automatically against him. And he saw that Holly went through the same thing. And so because he's had a similar experience, he probably thought he had better advice to give to her. So he's trying to speak with her. And then I see Celine looking over at them. And I was like, oh my gosh, Celine's going to be so upset that Anthony's talking to Holly. But no, she really wasn't upset. It didn't seem like she was upset. So what she did, for some reason, she took Andrew and she brings Andrew over to where Anthony and Holly were sitting. And I didn't think it was a good idea for her to do that. This situation between Holly and Andrew is very, very volatile, and it's very fresh. And I didn't think that it was a good idea for them to bring them together, especially if they didn't have the skills in dealing with people with marital problems, because, they're barely crawling out of their own issues. So when Celine brought Andrew over, Holly wasn't having it. So Holly just completely went left. She started talking about all the things that, Andrew has put her through, which I felt like were very valid reasons. But because of her being so emotionally charged, I felt like the points that she was making were completely lost, because she was just very frazzled, hysterical, just extremely animated, dramatic, emotional, while Andrew was just sitting there very calmly. And as she was just shooting out all of these explanations and reasonings and points, she wouldn't let him speak, not once. Every time he tried to speak and add to the conversation or give his version, she would just completely overtalk him. And I was like, Holly, this is not helping your situation, because you're looking like you're becoming unraveled while he's sitting there cool, calm, and collected, just begging for an opportunity to speak. You're just bulldozing all over him. And so even if you are making good points, the way it looks, you look like you crazy hysterical woman who can't calm down for 2 seconds to have a rational conversation with anybody. So I felt really bad for Holly, because she was looking very frazzled. She was looking kind of crazy. And Andrew, he's a motivational speaker, right? Which to me is one of those kind of gray area type of careers where it's like, okay, what qualifications do you need to do that? And how are you really making money from doing that? But anyways, I digress. So he's a motivational speaker. So he has to motivate people to do something or to act a certain way. So he's very good with words. So he knew how to manipulate this crowd into sort of like commandeering them to be on his side. And he knows how to play the game. To me, Andrew comes off as extremely manipulative. And I'm just surprised that nobody sees it. That he's like, all of these people have fallen under his spell, and I just don't understand. To me, Andrew is shisty. He is so shisty. And I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. From day one, I felt like he was shisty as hell. Very sneaky, manipulative, gaslighter. And then for the fact that, like, I'm still not over the fact that he used fake tears, conjuring up these fake emotions over his daughter just to manipulate Holly into sleeping with him. I'm still not over that he did that. And then he sleeps with her, and then he trash talks her on how she was in bed. Like, what? Then why did you even bother to sleep with her? Why didn't you just let that happen, naturally between the two of you? You basically, anyways, I'm digressing again. So he's so fed up with the whole situation, not being able to talk. She's going hysterical. So he's like, you know what? This is it for me. I'm out of here. I'm leaving. And he, is taking off his mic, and he's acting like he's going to get on the next plane back to Texas, even though he doesn't live in Texas. But he just seems like he is done with her. He's done with the show. He's done with Australia. He's done. And he's walking away, and who knows if he's going to come back, if he's just, trying to put on a show, or what the hell's going on with this man. I don't know. But yeah, that's my take on episode 12 of Married at First Sight Australia. If you made it this far in my review, I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, subscribe. If you don't like this content, don't worry about it. But thank you for stopping by anyway, and I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.